Hey guys, it's Caden. Welcome to another Autism Digest interview, where today we have a really popular rapper. You might know him from his 2007 song Krispy, and as you can see there, he has decades of music history on that wall. If you don't know him from that, you probably know him from writing Best I Ever Had by Drake, who's currently in the news right now. But a lot of people don't know that he has a son on the spectrum and is a passionate supporter of autism awareness through his organization, Autism Advocates. He is signed. Thanks for coming on, Kia.
Thank you so much for having me, man. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak, man. Seriously.
Of course. I think if people don't recognize you from Krispy, they at least recognize you from Best I Ever Had. You got decades of music history on that wall, and Krispy alone has millions of streams. But for those that may not know you, do you mind telling us your story in your own words?
I mean, really, man. I mean, I am a producer by trade, an artist, and then also an actor as of late. I play in movies, Superfly, They Clone Tyrone, Red One with The Rock. So there are some movies that you can go check out. Also, I'm in a Half Baked, Totally High. And I'm in this current season of the TV show on Stars, BMF, that's produced by 50 Cent. So definitely on the film and television side of things more these days, but I still very much am a producer. I started in Memphis, Tennessee, putting it on my own label, Rap Hustlers. I signed Skinny Pimp, did deals with Yo Gotti, Lil Chat, put out albums on all those individuals under my independent label, Rap Hustlers, under my brand. And then I put out my solo project, Due Season, which had songs like So Crispy and Wow and Stunner Frames and Respect My Fresh and I Be Everywhere. Just a classic album that was released on Rap Hustlers, Universal Motown Records in the 07s. Like, you know what I mean? It was a funny time of music because it was kind of like as social media was coming in and CDs were going out, we were going through a real change, you know? So I kind of got caught in that shuffle of music, but definitely was able to start a trend with swag music and more of the drip and the swag, the kind of style of music that I came with. So that's pretty much what I'm known for. And then of course, you just talked about the producing and co-writing songs like for Drake, Best I Ever Had, which came from a song that I produced for Lil Wayne called Do It For The Boy. But definitely all around artist, producer, actor, you know, I connect dots on the music side of things with business is concerned, and more importantly, since my son was born and he has nonverbal autism, Jameson, I've been in the autism community since he's 14 now. So for the last 12 years, I've been in the an Autism Advocate. So that's pretty much, you know, what I am. I'm a husband, and my wife been together 20 years this year, married. And you know, I'm a father, and I'm a producer, I'm a podcaster. I'm pretty much a Renaissance man. I'm all around the board when it comes to entertainment, film, and television, and music, and autism. Those are my strong points, man.
Yeah, that's an amazing way to put that, and I absolutely agree. 2007 was a big year for music, especially with the rise of social media like MySpace and all those platforms. You had Soulja Boy blowing up around your time.
Yeah, YouTube. It was like, you know, it was like when YouTube videos were coming in. It was like, you know, Facebook was around, MySpace, you know what I'm saying, was going on. And this was like before this, and then Twitter as I was popping off, like from the zero, double the O's all the way to 2010. I really was doing my thing with music, but like and that's when, you know, Twitter came out, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. So it was just kind of it was a different time, you know what I mean? It was a different time. It's dope to see where things are now with the music and how social media is such a key part of music. When it was my era was more about really making it in the street, you know what I mean, really becoming something popular in the street for people to be able to recognize you and really, you know, standing out. And you had to go to places. You couldn't just press a button and touch all these millions of people. You had to actually go from city to city, and that was a cool thing because you got dedicated fans because of that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. My next question for you is, what was it like when you first found out that you had a son on the spectrum?
Man, to be honest with you, it was tough, man. it was tough, man. It was something that I never knew about autism. I never knew what anything about it. Nothing. No one in my family ever had it. I never knew it existed. But it did. It was rough at first. Because my wife and my Jameson is our son with autism. He was our second child. So, we had Jackson, our oldest boy, and then we had Jameson, and this was like, he just threw us both for a loop. But we believe that God chose us to be the parents. We believe that he made no mistakes, and this is what we were dealt with. This is what it was, and he chose us to be his parents. So we were able to just pick it up from where we believe God will make no mistakes. So he didn't make any mistakes by blessing us to be able to be Jameson's parents. Jameson has taught us so much about ourselves. You know what I mean? So much about ourselves, man.
Yeah, that's an amazing way to put it. I'm on the spectrum myself.
And it's so dope to be doing this interview with you, with you being on the spectrum, man. I mean, it's so many things I even want to ask you. Give me just one moment. Come grab this change real quick, Jackson. I just got to give me 1 second, okay?
All right.
Pause 1 second. All right.
I'm sorry.
I'm coming. I'm back. I'm coming back. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that.
No worries. Trust me, I have 4 siblings myself, so I know what a house full of kids is like.
Yeah, man, I got a house full here, man. There's never a dull moment in the Coleman house, man. I tell you that. Never a dull moment. You know what I mean? Yeah. Never a dull moment.
Yeah, exactly. But I really like that. God blessed you with the gift of having an autistic. So then he definitely makes no mistake. The same way with me and my diagnosis. I spent a majority of my teenagehood misunderstanding autism. Think of it as a curse because of the stigmatization surrounding it and the way I was treated in high school. But the more I'm learning about it, the more I'm learning it's quite frankly a gift, and no one makes mistakes in life, especially with this kind of stuff. So I really like that. My next question for you is, what resources have you and your family used to help support your son's needs?
Well, what we do, first of all, we started starting back in the day, we when we first got our diagnosis, Marcus Autism in Atlanta. The Marcus Autism Center is where we started, our journey with them. So the resources that we used initially, a lot of the sensory items, because we know with the sensory situation was serious. We would do things. We would massage our son. Even to this day, he loves. And you have autism, so you know that the sensory issues are serious. So he was just being able to use certain things to be able to help him deal with his sensory issues, to be able to regulate. He has this pad that he loves, so we make sure we keep his pad for him. He was able to do the speaking pad. His pad that he uses with the Apple, and it allows him. He's nonverbal, so he allows him to be able to speak and say things that he's wanting and things like that. So those were also a cool thing to be able to have with him. And just really a lot of patience and understanding, understanding that, when you're dealing with my son has profound autism. So when you're dealing with someone who's not able to verbally speak to you, we had to be able to get him the tools that he needed to be able to communicate, and then us to be able to really understand him on the level that he was on, to be able to really, listen to, just to figure out how to communicate with him. You know what I mean? So it took a lot of listening and a lot of learning on our behalf. You know what I mean? And just, just trying to really be able to really just understand him and listen for him, and not think he's going to communicate the way we think he should, but to really try to get on his level of where he's at, and to really be able to allow him to express, and then and us be able to reciprocate from that. Lately, we also noticed early in his life that he loved water. So it helps him with the sensory therapy, with the therapies, and so we did musical therapy, we did all kind of therapies with him. But the water is where he's so calm in the water. He loves the water. So we have started what's called aquatism. Aquatism is the aquatic training in the water, because the main cause of death for autism children is drowning. You know what I mean? And most autism children, they're over 100 times more likely to be able to drown. You know what I mean? Than neurotypical children. So we have started aquatism, which is aquatic training, aquatism and aquatic training together. And we are training. We're partnering with the YMCA in Memphis, and hopefully this will be the beginning of a great relationship nationwide, worldwide. But we're starting in Memphis, in my hometown, with this aquatic training, aquatism, because we noticed that our son was more vocal and more vibrant in the water and more calm. So those are some of the therapies and some of the things, resources that we've been able to use that be able to help manage him. And I think it would work for other households as well. Plus, just keep our children safe, our community safe. Excuse me. So those are some of the things that we're doing with Autism Advocates, and on our website, autismadvocates.org. There's more information about aquatism there as well for those that want to be a part of it.
Yeah, that's amazing. And we could definitely use a program like that throughout the nation.
Yeah.
My next question for you is, what's something that's often misunderstood about parenting a child on the spectrum?
Well, you get so many people that have so many opinions, and, with this age of information and social media, you get so much information out there. So when people get certain things, they're quick to tell you, hey, my son had autism and we was able to get rid of it. You know what I'm saying? Or we was able to cure it, or, you know what I mean? And it's like, man, that's not really how autism works. You know what I mean? So it's just like a lot of the misconceptions of people. Sometimes they mean well, you know what I mean? But they just don't know enough about it, to be able to make certain comments about autism. So I just, that's one thing that people just, the misconception of when someone's having behaviors, when someone's having a meltdown, and you're thinking that their parent isn't being a good parent because he's not disciplining the child the way you think the child should be disciplined. Those are some of the misconceptions I see all the time, because you don't really understand what's going on and what that parent is doing and how that parent is parenting that child with autism. This is our community of autism individuals, that we are different, not less. You know what I mean? And I just, I stress that. You know what I mean? So those are some of the things I noticed.
Yeah, there's a lot of those misconceptions still in our society. I know when I was growing, there were some questions on my distant relative sides about my capabilities. Some of them said I probably wouldn't be able to go to college, and that trade school would be the most ideal thing for me, starting with the actual doctor that diagnosed me, because back in 2006, when I was diagnosed, I'm 21 now, there were still so many misconceptions about autism, 10 times worse than...
Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah. Like, if you would ask me in 2006 what even autism was, I didn't even know what it was. So me and my wife, we talk about it. My wife is the director of our nonprofit, my wife, and we talk about it. We feel like autism is still at a point where we're just getting the awareness out so that people can even understand what this actually is, It's still fairly new to some people, so we're still at that point of just pushing for awareness,
Yeah, exactly. A lot of advocates are, and that's what platforms like these are for spreading that awareness. My next question for you is, you started your nonprofit called Autism Advocates, and you've been talking a lot about it throughout this interview. Tell us a bit more about it. What resources do you guys And what was a top moment for your nonprofit that you want to share?
Well, what we do is we go to we have a mascot, Ace the Advocate. And when you go to our site, autismadvocates.org, you can go to the news and you click news and you'll be able to see a lot of things that we've done that showed up in the media. But we go to the schools and we go visit the autism classrooms and we replenish the sensory rooms in the classrooms. We bring our mascot, Ace the Advocate. He's a dog and he's an advocate, and we bring him through. And we just really really shine, no pun intended, a light on autism, for our autism community when we go visit the schools and the parents. And, we really, really want to get out there, and we really get out there, and we really want to let the parents know they're not on the island by themselves. They're not alone, that if it can feel like that. So we want to build community is what we really push. So that was some of the highlight moments that we've had with our autism assemblies that we have at the classrooms, at the schools that we go to. So we love to be able to come and just, speak, reach, and teach, you know what I mean? And be able to, spread awareness, acceptance, and inclusion, and be able to build community. So that was the reason for our Autism Advocates nonprofit, and that's just some of the highlights that we've been able to do. And we've got even more things to come. Like I said, one of the most recent highlights is being able to partner with the YMCA with Autism. So this is one of the things we're very excited about. That's getting ready to the program getting ready to start in the YMCA in Memphis, and hopefully in worldwide. So we're super excited about that. But it's just started because we feel like, they say if you got 10,000 hours in something, you become an expert. Well, there's no expert. I mean, I believe if you're not growing and learning, you're dying. You know what I mean? Anything that's not growing is dying. So we continue to keep learning, but we do have a lot of experience in dealing with profound autism, especially with my son being nonverbal. So we want to give that information. We want to be able to use that information that we've learned to be able to help other parents that have just got their diagnosis with their child. You know what I mean? Because we were so on the island when we got ours. So we just try to be able to get those resources, and also those early detections of what's going on, that if those resources are on our sites as well, like what if my child, what am I seeing, with the things that you see, so that you notice that may be wrong, may be different. So we want to make sure that we can be able to lay out those things and push for the parents to not be in denial about their child, but to also just go see what's going on. And we got those resources on the site as well. But we're really big on pushing the community acceptance, awareness, and inclusion, and safety, because safety is key.
Amen to that. That's amazing. My next question for you is, what's your advice to any parent of an autistic child that has no idea what to do, is new to it, and doesn't understand autism overall?
Well, man, that's a good question right there, my man. I'm a firm believer in prayer. I believe prayer changes things. I believe that you got to understand that you're not going to have all the answers. The whys. Why is my child this way? Why the way? We're not going to have all the answers. How to just become? We're not going to have the answers. There are certain things we got to be comfortable with not knowing. But we do know is that God bless you with your child, and He bless you to be the parent. So we have to deal with what's in front of us. You know what I mean? We got to deal with the to now. You know what I mean? And I think that that's what you got to do. And I think when you start to think too far ahead, like Kaden, like about like, well, what's going to happen once it gets this age, and this and this and this. Sometimes it's gonna overwhelm you. You're gonna have to just be able to really lock in on the now, and just really give yourself grace, grant grace on yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because it could be tough and it could be mentally draining. You know what I mean? So, we got to take care of the caregivers, because the caregivers, you can't pour from an empty cup. So make sure you take time to be able to refill yourself, and just you know, emotions are going to be involved. We're human, but I always say you got to drop the E in emotion so you can have motion. Just keep the motion going, the positive motion.
Oh, I really like that last word. Keeping the E out of motion and making
Yeah,
it positive motion. My parents have a saying like that too. Just go with the flow, and
yeah,
whatever happens, happens. It's nobody's fault. You're in control of your own life. Simple as that.
yeah.
And my last question for you is, what does the future hold for you and your nonprofit?
Well, if the future holds a lot, I feel like, you know, I've been blessed to do a lot of cool things, man. But the best thing is being a father of my son, right? And I feel like God using me to be a vessel in this community. So I would hope and I would pray and that God continues to use me and to use my family and to use our nonprofit to be able to help more autism families, you know, to be able to impact real change in safety, you know, because that's what I feel like there are. If we look at the numbers and we see that the leading cause of death for drowning is drowning for autism children, then these things that aquatism should have been in effect. You know what I mean? But I feel like, you know, we trademarked the word and we're moving on. We're moving on with our program. But I want to be able to impact and create real change and change for safety for our community. I want to create inclusion, but inclusion doesn't necessarily mean that the autism community needs to be meshed all with the neurotypical community all the time. I just want the autism community to have the same opportunities. You know what I mean? Whether that's employment, whether that's just being able to go to a place where parents can feel comfortable to bring their children to be able to go to a jump place or to a spot where they could be able to have fun and be able to feel comfortable that someone can care for their kids while they can be able to have a date night. You know what I mean? Just this the I want to be able to just we want to spark real change, you know what I mean, and real be able to. I'm not here to point the fingers on where autism comes from and all that, and is it this, is it that. I'm just here to make sure that the experience for the parents and for our community is a great one, you know what I mean, and that people understand we different, not less, and we blessed by the best. So that's what I feel like I'm gonna just be pushing more of that in the future, with Autism Advocates, and just keep pushing it out there. My wife and I, you know, my family, we all advocates, and just being able to just stay on platforms. We got a lot of great interviews coming up here, a lot of television things coming up, and a lot of things that we're going to be doing to keep. I bring autism into the rooms where autism is not. You know what I mean? Anything that God blesses me to be able to go through with music or, you know, with film and television, I'm in there and I'm talking about autism. And you know what? Because it's 1 in like 31 people have it right now. It's like somebody's got a cousin or a nephew or a brother. Somebody's got somebody that has autism. So I'm bringing it up in these conversations, and it's just so much healing in it. There's so much. It's a ministry in it. You know what I'm saying? If you would. So that's what I believe I'll just keep doing. You know what I mean? To be able to keep pushing and representing for our community, man. And you know, for as film and television, I got a TV show coming up. P Valley. I play in that and I do music for that. That's coming up on the P Valley TV show coming up pretty soon. But other than that, man, you know, I got some things coming up that I can't even talk about because they got me on non-disclosure. But some really cool things coming up, you know what I mean, for the 26th and for the rest of this year. But for the most part, bro, pushing more acceptance, awareness, inclusion, and safety for autism awareness, man, and for autism advocates. So that's what I got coming up.
And all of that sounds amazing. And I really like what you said about this cause and this movement being a ministry in a way. And that's one of the things I love about hosting these interviews. You never know who's going to be associated with this cause in some way. So I really like your perspective on that. Anyway, that's going to do it for this interview. Thank you so much to Kia for coming on, sharing his story and his very powerful perspectives. If you guys want to see more amazing interviews, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the Autism Digest channel. Check out our August issue when it comes out next month, in a few months, actually, by going to autismdigest.com And stay tuned for the Spotify file to be posted on our Spotify at Autism Digest. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
All right, man. You keep doing your